Alright, we are going to be talking about introducing quail, whether they're new or, you know, they were separated for a little bit and they're just coming back, being reintroduced to the flock, and how to prevent injuries. Because if you just throw a quail in with your flock that either hasn't been in there for a while, hasn't been in there at all, a lot of bad things can arise. A lot of aggressions can arise because it is a new quail and they're just unsure what to do. So I am going to show you a few things of what I do to prevent injuries when I am introducing new quail or reintroducing quail into my flock. The most important thing that I could probably tell you right now when you are introducing or reintroducing quail into your flock is that you have to be patient. You have to watch what happens and the interactions between the quail as soon as you put the quail in. For the first several minutes, what I do is I will just watch to see if there's any aggression at all, whether it's, you know, pecking of the head, which normally if there is any aggression when you first introduce the quail, it's going to be the pecking of the head or the beak. And so if there's any of that, any pecking of the head, then I will actually take the quail out that's doing the pecking, which a lot of the time it's a quail that's been in there for a while, and that's just an aggressive quail. You know, he's doing something back there. So yeah, that's the first thing. And then if they're doing fine for the first, let's say 2 or 3 minutes when you're introducing them, they're kind of just running around, but there's no aggression, no pecking at all, then you can probably leave for just a couple minutes, like 2 or 3 minutes, and then come back and check again. And if they're fine, then leave for I got some doves that are playing over here. Leave for like 10 minutes and then come back and check. And if everything is going alright with 10 minutes and you don't see any missing feathers, no blood or anything, then they should be fine, and I would just continue to you know, check on them throughout the day. So I actually have a few quail that I need to reintroduce because they're not new. They're old. A couple of them had injuries. Some of them were aggressive. I need to reintroduce them into the flock, and so you can actually see how I do this and what happens when I put them in. So let's just go grab the quail. Alright, so I've got the first quail that I need to reintroduce. Now, what happened with her is she actually got attacked so bad overnight. It was overnight because I found her the next morning because I had checked on them the night before. And she had gotten attacked, and I thought that she had lost both of her eyes. It looked like she had lost both of her eyes, and I'll actually show you a video right here of when that happened and how bad it looked. Alright, I'm going to show you something pretty horrifying. Are you ready? Her eyes have been picked out. Both of them. At least both of them that I can see. She can't open either of her eyelids. The right one might be there, so I'm going to take her inside, put some saline on it because there's dried blood over it, and so I'm going to see if that will help and see if there's something under there. But I know that the left one has been picked out for sure. I don't know how this happened. I think I know which one did it. But yeah, pretty sad. I'm not going to kill her right now, but I'm going to see how well she heals. And if she still lays eggs and seems happy, then I think I'll keep her in a separate area and just see how she does. So now she has totally healed, completely, just defied all the odds, and her eyes were just, they were both sealed for a couple days, and then one of them came open, or you know, one of them opened, and then I was like, oh great, she's got one eye, so she can, you know, actually survive, because I didn't want to, you know, kill her, because I kind of wanted to give her a chance, and I didn't quite know what was going on. And then about a week later after it happened, the other eye opened, just so surprisingly, because it looked like there was nothing behind there. So I am going to introduce her to the 3 females who are in this cage right here, and there is a little bit of pecking going on in here. One of the quail, actually 2 of the quail I think in there, have a few feathers missing off their back. It's not terrible, you know, it's not ideal, but I'll put her in here and we'll see how they do, and we'll just check on them throughout the day. Now these guys are there's one in here that goes kind of crazy when I open the cage. Here, I'll lift this up so you can see. She kind of goes a little crazy. Okay, if you see, she is actually hiding up there between the water and the food. So she is a little scared to come down. She's been in with the baby quail for the past several weeks. And so she's, not used to having any male or any adult quail around, or hearing any adult quail, because all the other quail that I have separated are next to each other, just divided by just barriers, but they can hear each other. So we'll just watch, see if she'll come down. She might stay up there for a little while. So we'll just keep an eye on her, and I am going to go get the other quail that I need to introduce. So in case you can't see, that other one pooped on my shirt right there. So gross, I'm gonna have to go change. Okay, this next one, she was pretty aggressive to the other females, and so I had to take her out and separate her because of that. So she didn't have any injuries or anything, but she is a little aggressive. So we are going to put her in this middle cage right here with 4 other females and see how she does. And let's just hope she doesn't start pecking the heads of everyone. So we'll just watch and make sure. Yeah, can you see that? She's starting to peck the heads of everybody now. Here, let me get a little closer look for you. Okay, if you can see that, she's pecking the heads. She's not liking anybody in there. Yeah, so she just keeps doing that. She was doing that before, even with the separation. She hasn't changed. I think I'll leave her in there for just a couple minutes and watch really close. And if she is continuing to do it, then I'll just have to take her out and she'll just have to stay separated, because she's just not nice, and that's just what she is, I guess. I have found that the best ways to prevent injuries is, one, that they always have food and water at all times. And then another thing is that, one, you just watch them, every single morning. Look for any signs of aggression. If anyone is seriously pecking the heads or the backs of another quail, and if you see any blood at all, then you're going to take him out. Take out the one that is being aggressive. You are going to prevent a lot of injuries if you do that. And then if there are any that are injured, make sure you take them out, because even if you have just one quail in there that is being aggressive and, attacking maybe one, if you take out the aggressive one but you leave the injured one in there, and if it has blood or something, then the others could start attacking that one because they're curious, or just because, maybe they think there's something wrong with that quail. And so, yes, definitely make sure that you take out the injured ones and you take out the ones that are being aggressive. Separate them, and then, a few days later or a week later, try to introduce them again. Okay, so if you are introducing new juvenile quail into your existing flock, number one, make sure that they are almost fully grown, because if you introduce really small quail into the flock, then you're just heading for disaster at that point. So just make sure that they are nearly full grown, or full grown, at like 6 to 8 weeks, I would say. And also, I have found that if you put in more than one into an existing cage, so let's say you have like 4 females in one, and then you decide to put, 3 or 4 females into, that cage with the 4 females, I have found that helps a little bit to have around the same number of, basically two different flocks, and mixing them together. And again, and I'm just gonna keep pressing on this. You have to make sure that you watch them at all times. You can't just throw them in there because it is going to cause problems. You just have to watch and see how everything goes. For the first several minutes, and then wait 10 minutes, and then, a couple times throughout the day. And like I said before, if nothing happens within the first 10 minutes, it's most likely that they're gonna be fine. Okay, so now it has been several minutes since I reintroduced the female quail, the one that was aggressive in here, and I don't see her pecking at any of the heads like she was when I first put her in here. So I think she might be all right. I'm just gonna leave. Oh, I saw it a little bit, but she's not doing it as much. So I'm just going to leave for a few minutes, and I'll come back and we'll see how everything is going. Another thing is make sure that you don't have too many quail in too small of an area. I will not put more than 6 quail in one cage. And I found that does all right. The best I would say is doing about 4 or 5 quail in one of these cages. If you have a bigger one, then you can do more than that. But I'd say about 4 to 6 in a cage like this. And remember that quail are social creatures and they live in a flock, and you want to make sure that you don't have too little quail. If you only have like 2 quail, they might do all right, but definitely don't have just 1 quail as a pet because they will get depressed and it's just gonna be a miserable life for them. Another thing you can do that will really help your quail to get along once you introduce them is by putting them in something like a cardboard box that has holes in it and whatnot, or better, a cage or something like this pet carrier right here, and put them next to the cage that you are going to later introduce them into for probably 24 hours before, and then just for a whole day. The quail can hear each other and kind of socialize with a barrier between them and kind of get used to each other. And I found that really helped because I did have that with the last cage that I had my quail in. It was actually a layered cage, and so there were like 4 layers. And so I had my first batch in, because I only had a few in the first batch. I probably had 12 quail. I think that's probably how many I had. So they were all in the middle layer, and then right above them I put the juvenile quail, and they were in there for about 2 weeks because they were just growing a little bit more. And so everybody got used to hearing each other, and so when I put them in, I had no problems at all, no problems. And I think also having close to an even ratio of your new quail with your old flock, putting them in really helped. And so I just kind of mixed them all together, and they were already used to hearing each other and knowing that there were other quail even though they could not see them. So socializing them, helping them get used to each other with a barrier between them can really help. Okay, it's been a few minutes since I last checked on these quail, and in this one they seem to be doing really good. She's not attacking hardly at all. I mean, I haven't seen anything since I started looking again. Here, we'll get a closer video of this real quick. Okay, so here they are, and the one that I introduced is the one, or reintroduced is this one right here. And that was a little peck. She's pecking them a little bit right there, but it's not terrible. She's not trying to pull the feathers out. It's kind of establishing a pecking order in a way, how you see it with chickens. So she's definitely, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on her. So let's look at these other ones over here. They seem to be doing all right. I think the one that I reintroduced is actually hiding underneath the platform right there. And these ones are missing 2 of them. These 2 right here are missing feathers on their back because this one right here, she is like super active, and she has just been pulling feathers out of their back for no reason. I think there might be something slightly wrong with her. So I might have to take her out if the feather pulling is getting worse. So let's take a look at this one and see how it's doing. Alright, we'll take a look at this one. Looks like they might not like her. Yeah, they're all pecking on her. So we're gonna take her out. Okay, she is not doing too well in this cage, and you can sometimes tell by like their eyes and their facial expressions if they're not doing good in the cage, if a quail is not doing good in the cage. And she looks just like really weary, and her eyes are like half closed. So I'm actually gonna take her out. We'll take her out, and I don't know if you can, yeah, she doesn't like it in there. So I think what I might do is actually try her in this far cage over here, because they're not as crazy in here, and there's a little bit of aggression in this cage happening. And so we will put her in this other one and see how she does. Okay, so she is right there in the left corner. So yeah, she's right here. And the others don't really know what to do. But we'll just keep watching. Yeah, so I'm not seeing any aggression coming from the other quail in here. They're kind of just running around because they don't know what to do with me here. They're kind of just looking at her, and yeah, I think they're just kind of curious, like who she is, where she came from. That one especially right there. That one is really curious at where she, like who she is. And so we'll just watch for another minute or two, and then I'll come check on all the 2 cages that I've got the new quail in. Okay, so it has been about 10 minutes since I put the quail in, or since I last checked on them. So we're gonna head out here and see how they were doing. In the meantime, I changed my shirt because, ew. Anyways, yeah, let's take a look at them. They're right here. Okay, here's the first cage. This one I put the kind of slightly aggressive one in here. Looks like we've got 2 down there. I don't know if you can see that very well. Let's look at this one. Yeah, she seems to be doing all right. I don't see any problems. Nothing so far. Okay, we'll come back in about a half hour, 45 minutes, and check again and see how they're doing. And if they're doing all right, then we'll come back probably a couple hours later, and hopefully they're doing fine. Okay, it is the next morning. It's about 5:45 in the morning, and I'm gonna go check out on the quail and see how they're doing. I did check on them one last time before I went to bed, because I introduced the quail around like 7:30, and so I was there from like 7:30 to 8, and then I checked on them again at like 8:30, and then I went to bed. So they seem to be doing all right that I can see, but let's take a close look. There's nobody in there. All right. Everybody seems to be doing all right. Yeah, I think she's the one right there that I introduced. Yeah, everyone seems to be doing all right in there. Let's look right here. Yeah, okay, she right there is the one that I introduced into this one. She was the one that I thought that was blind for a while, but everybody looks like they're doing all right. So everybody looks like they're doing just fine, and I think that this arrangement is going to work, hopefully. You never know. Sometimes things happen, but that's why you just keep checking on them. But yeah, I will conclude this video, and I hope that you learned something, and that when you introduce your quail or reintroduce your quail into your flock, that everything goes all right. And yeah, we'll see ya in the next video.